going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. So now we're continuing forward with the Killin It Resurrection in a whole nother direction. As you can see, yeah, we got some good stuff going on now. So this is our new motor. If y'all didn't watch the episode before this one, kind of explain what's going on with it, and got it over here to the Mad Scientist home laboratory. Basically what we're gonna be doing, I'm gonna start on it a little bit tonight. What we're gonna be doing is taking my old blowed up ass engine, which we got over here on the engine stand, and we're gonna start swapping over everything that is usable that we wanna reuse on the new engine, which, I don't know, at first glance, I don't think it's gonna be a lot. I think I'm gonna actually be replacing a lot of this just because I'm not gonna have an engine like that over there and freaking putting crap like this on it. That seems like a sin. I don't think I'm gonna do that. A lot of this stuff is charred from the different engine fires we've had over the years, not to mention 180,000 miles of road use that it endured before it became a big truck. So yeah, I think I'm gonna first start messing with the wiring harness a little bit. I'm not gonna get too crazy with it because not gonna lie to y'all, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I'm still kind of figuring it out with some direction from the Mad Scientist, Mr. Josh Mendenhall, and my buddy Daryl over there at AutoWorks. So yeah, I don't want to get too carried away and get to a point where I can't put it back together type deal. So I'm going to really be taking this in really bite-sized increments, at least to get started. First thing I want to do for sure is get all of my injectors out. So disconnect all these injectors, disconnect the high pressure fuel lines. I'll pull all those off. That's relatively easy. And I actually did a lot of that, did something similar when we were doing the compression check, when we first started diagnosing this engine before I knew that it was blowed up. So it's not too far off. I mean, I was kind of going through the glow plugs actually when I did a lot of that, but I did pop out one of the injectors. I don't even remember why I did that, but I pulled out one of the injectors. So it's all, is it the injectors? Yeah, I pulled out one of the injectors. I think, oh, I remember why. We pulled out, which injector was it? I believe it was this one. We pulled out one of these no, it was the fouled up one. Okay, all right, now I'm up to snuff. So this is the fouled up cylinder. This is the one that has zero compression in it. So I did pull this injector off before in order to pop it out so I could snake that camera down the hole so we could try to look into that cylinder, see if we could actually see a clear crack in the piston or what in the hell is causing it to have literally zero compression. Because I ain't kidding, when I say zero compression, it has none. Like I freaking went through and ran a compression check on all the different cylinders. I did that through the glow plug holes, but I ran a compression check on I think it was the first or second. No, it was before I even started the Resurrection series. I think it's a video right before that. So if you scroll a little earlier on the channel, you guys can watch me go through all that. First time I've ever ran a compression check on a diesel engine. So if y'all never done it either, I kind of explain how to do it and what's involved. But yeah, so anyways, that being said, I know how to pull the injector out because I've done that before to snake the camera in there to see if we could see it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the rest of these injectors out, starting probably with the more familiar one. I'll work my way all the way down. There's not much to it. You unplug it, you pull this return line off, you pull the high pressure fuel line off, and then there's a hold down bolt right here you take out, and then you gotta kind of pry and the injector will pop out. So I gotta do that to all four on this side and all four over on this side. And the reason why I'm doing that, because when I got all my goodies from Socal Diesel, they sent me a return box to use this box to return for core. So this is the box that my new injectors that are already in this new engine. This is actually the box that those injectors came in. So it's already return addressed to Socal Diesel so that I can pull my old injectors out, send them back to Socal in order to get the core charge back. I'm not sure what it is, probably a few $100, but that will help pay for replacing a lot of this charred up nonsense that we got going on. So that's what I'm going to start tinkering with now. Now that we've got the truck over here at the Mad Scientist home laboratory, this nice luxurious garage that's air conditioned out of the elements with a roof over it. Freaking spoiled over here. If y'all compare this to the crap that I usually deal with, y'all been watching my videos, you know what I'm talking about, where it starts raining on me when I'm working on the truck. Happened gazillion different times. When I was pulling the heater core out, that was probably the most fun time when I had the whole interior of the dash apart and everything, and I couldn't get the doors of the truck to shut, and it started raining on me, and I was outside, and yeah, I had to put a tarp over the truck to keep the truck from filling up with water. Oof. Anyways, we don't have to deal with any of that crap here in this super bitchin' shop, but I digressed a whole lot there. That's what we're working on. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna go ahead and set up the time-lapse camera, start disconnecting all these injectors and popping these out so that I can send them off to Socal Diesel to get my core charge back. And then I'm not sure what we're gonna do next. So we'll reconvene once that's complete and figure out what the next step is. right, Sean, now that I got all the injectors out, I got them all bagged up and boxed up so they can go back to Socal Diesel on Monday morning. But now the next thing that I'm messing with, I'm kind of just tinkering around because really, like I said earlier, I don't really know what I'm doing so much. So I'm just trying to make myself useful, trying to knock out the little things that I do know what to do. So the next thing I was kind of looking at, the mad scientist and I were kind of talking about the different parts of the motor that I'm going to replace and how much stuff I'm going to reuse from the old motor, like I was saying earlier. And the next thing I'm looking at is the high pressure fuel lines. So basically I looked online, you can buy a whole new set of them for like 150 bucks, 200 bucks for a decent set. Some of them get even more expensive. Some of them get around like 300, 350 bucks. But I was kind of screwing around with cleaning these up to see if they're going to be reusable or if they're not. And I'm leaning towards reusable for sure. So let me show you why. This is what they look like. These are the ones out of the passenger side of the truck. So this is what they look like when I first pull them out. Without really doing anything to them, wiping them off a little bit. But I mean, kind of look a little bit gross and goofed up, right? Well, these are the ones out of the driver's side of the truck that I spent about 20 minutes or so cleaning up. They look freaking awesome to me. I mean, they're not perfect, but who cares? Once I start running this truck, everything's not gonna be perfect anyway. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go through and try to get those looking like this. And I'm just gonna reuse my old ones. I mean, functionality, they should be fine. And they look nice and pretty. So that's what I'm doing now. So I'm gonna take each of these, put them in the Mad Scientist parts washer over here. And pretty freaking self-explanatory. Go through and start scrubbing them up and then hit them with this scuff pad, and that kind of gives them that nice shiny finish again. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring these ones back to life. Well, bam! They actually came out pretty damn bitchin', y'all. Yeah, brother. And granted, they're, again, like I said before, they're not perfect, but as soon as I start getting a little freaking froggy with that truck and start getting that little fucking go pedal like that, it's probably gonna look all dirty like the freaking other ones anyway. But when we're putting it together, she's gonna look kind of clean. Super dialed in. Just saved myself 150 bucks, I think, or I don't know. Those real nice ones are like 350, so just saved myself a good little bit of money. Yeah, brother. Not sure what I'm gonna do next. Let me get these put away and we'll figure it out. Well, y'all, the first little hurdle. As I told you, we're gonna learn this stuff together, and yeah, I learned a little something. Spent all that time, it wasn't a lot of time, probably maybe a total of an hour, cleaning all those high pressure fuel lines. Come to find out, they are not reusable. Mr. Darrell informed me of that the next day. Yeah, apparently the way that those high pressure fuel lines, the way they seat on the injector and on the fuel log, like the fuel rail, fuel log, whatever you wanna call it, the way they seat it kind of is almost like a crimp because they got to seal up and they got to lock in there nice and tight and sturdy. So no one recommends that you reuse them. Darn it, son of a bitch. So I spent all that time cleaning those up, and guess what? They're going to go right in the garbage. Oh well, not a big deal. Part of the learning process. The one downside of jumping into this with freaking both hands and feet without really knowing what you're doing. So I'm not sure what I'm going to end up doing with those high pressure fuel lines. More than likely, they're just going to wind up right in the trash. And there are also two other things I wanted to mention that I didn't know back when I was doing those fuel lines and cleaning them up and everything. For one, if you get more badass like aftermarket ones, you can get high pressure fuel lines that are made out of stainless steel, as opposed to the factory ones, which are not stainless steel. The problem with that is diesel fuel, every now and then, if you go to a gas station, you might get a little bit of water in your diesel. It might not be the best quality of diesel fuel. So that stuff will start to collect in your fuel system. Ideally, it won't, but it could happen. And then that could start to collect in those high pressure fuel lines, and that could start to corrode them and start to make them break down on the interior of them. To where if you get aftermarket stainless steel ones, you don't have to worry about that. They're gonna stay freaking top notch all the time. And the other thing I also was gonna mention, the second thing I was gonna mention was, yeah, those high pressure fuel lines are actually way more expensive than I was even thinking. When I looked it up on my phone, I don't know if I wasn't looking up the right part number or what it was, but yeah, they get a little salty. Let's just put it at that. They're proud of their stuff over there at GMC and all the stuff that goes on a Duramax. Duramax in general. That's why, yeah, anyways, we don't need to go down that freaking road. It's very sad how much it costs to build a Duramax, but guess what? We're doing it anyway. Yeah. Now what I'm going to do tonight, I'm not going to do a whole lot because I'm pretty wore out, but I'm going to go through and take these couple brackets. I'm going to take this. I'm going to clean this pipe up, take this apart, take this apart, take the thermostats out of it, and take the bracket work off it, clean this up really good, and
give that to the mad scientist to put in his tumbler. I'm gonna clean this up really good. I think I just gotta get a bolt off of it. Yeah, get this bolt off of here. Get all that cleaned up in the parts cleaner so that can go in the mad scientist tumbler. Take the brackets off here, clean it up really well so it can go in the tumbler. And I think that's probably all. Oh, and then my oil fill tube. I already got that over here in the parts cleaner. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cleaning this up super nice too. Now the parts tumbler, so you all know what the hell that is. It's pretty cool. It's a mad thing that the mad scientist uses like in his regular day-to-day job work over at the machine shop. Basically, it's like this thing, it's about the size of a chest freezer, and you put these like special pebbles in it and turn it on, it like vibrates and shakes and everything and turns everything around. And those little pebbles are abrasive, and they'll go through and they will like lightly sand, but really just clean all these parts. So the way this thing looks like total ass right now, well, a bunch of dirt came out of it. But anyways, take a good look at what this thing looks like right now, because when it comes out of the tumbler, it's gonna look way different. And then I'm not sure what we're gonna do once we get it out of the tumbler. It'll be like a raw metal look-ish. So then from that point, I don't know. We're either gonna leave them raw like that, but then they'll stain. That's the one downside of leaving them like that. They'll stain anytime I get mud in it. So as soon as I get a little froggy with this truck, which might take a minute, new motor, might be a little scared I'm gonna mess it up because I went so long without a truck. But as soon as I get a little froggy, get a little freaking mud up over the hood, goes in the engine bay, gets on them parts, it's gonna stain them and they'll start looking just like they look right now. So that's not ideal. So I'm more leaning towards once they're all cleaned up from the tumbler, probably gonna paint them. I don't know, I gotta check the heat rating on that Emron paint, that badass black marine grade paint that I use on the subframe. Stuff that looks super good all the time. That's on the axles. Actually, you already know what it looks like. It was on my axles when I repainted them just then, or my buddies repainted them. But I'm either gonna paint these parts with that, or I'm gonna get some engine paint, like some of that high heat engine paint, and spray them with that to make them look real nice and pretty. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to it, y'all. Got them pretty clean. So then we're gonna give them to the mad scientist. I'm actually gonna go put them in his truck on my way out of here. And he'll put them in the parts tumbler. And y'all are gonna be amazed at how much better they look. I hope they look a hell of a lot better. I think they're going to. But we got multiple pieces here. The crossover pipe and the cap for it. And I got one front bracket for the alternator and water pump and the other alternator bracket. So I got them pretty clean with a parts cleaner and some Simple Green. And this is for the oil cooler. Got this actually came out really nice. But we're gonna go ahead and give all this to the mad scientist, let him put it in the parts tumbler, and we'll go from there. I'll check back in with y'all tomorrow. I think tomorrow. Check back in with y'all next time I'm over here. See you. Came out pretty damn good on that tumbler.
Yeah, they look really clean.
Yeah. So y'all, now that the brackets are all nice and cleaned up and looking super freaking bitchin', now I really am trying to decide what I want to do with those brackets. I don't think I want to leave them raw because, as I was saying, if I leave them raw, as soon as I start getting froggy with that truck, which might take a couple events, be honest, I might be a little bit of a girl about driving it for a minute, but guaranteed I'm going to get a little happy behind the freaking wheel eventually. So once I start doing that, and the engine's all nice and hot, and I'm hitting all kinds of mud and whatnot, and I start getting those holes where I hit them a little fast, and they fly up over the truck and get the engine bay all soaked. If I leave those brackets raw, they're gonna get all stained and looking like total ass again. So I definitely don't wanna do that. I've been debating spraying them with like some high temperature heat paint, like engine paint, or I don't really know what else to do. I also was maybe debating even doing some powder coating, having them to where they actually match the rest of the parts of the engine that I got powder coated. The only concern that I was thinking is that engine before, at least my old engine, used to get a little bit hot. Used to overheat pretty much every time I hit the truck tug pad. As I told you guys in other videos, my philosophy when it comes to driving, doing a truck tug, thing is to the freaking floor till either I win or my truck overheats. Now, granted, we might critique that driving just a touch with this new motor. I don't know, maybe not. I don't know, we'll see. But I know that old engine used to get really freaking hot. My EGTs, if you go back like a ways in the channel, back when I was a little not so decent at doing the videos as I am now, you can see in some of those, my EGTs were getting in excess of 2,000 degrees. Yeah, 2,000 degrees, yeah, a little bit hot. So that whole engine bay obviously wasn't getting 2,000 degrees because everything would have been on fire more often than it already was. I already had like 4 engine fires, but it would be on fire much more often than it was, and everything, all the wiring would have been toast. So I know it's not getting that hot. So leads me to, what am I gonna do with these freaking brackets? So I kind of ran this by the mad scientist, and oh damn, he had a freaking great idea.
He's like, well, if you really want to know how hot that stuff's getting, you drive a Duramax every day, don't you? Yeah, my dually's a Duramax. So why don't you drive that thing down the interstate, get it nice and warmed up? Because you got one of those infrared freaking thermometers, cha-ching, just like this. Got one of them. So do that, which the truck will end up getting to operating temperature, which ideally will be where this new motor will live at. Hopefully it's not going to overheat because it's going to be way more properly built for the type of driving that I do and the type of abuse that I'm going to throw at it. So it should be able to handle it, but so it should stay around that 210, 220. That seems to be about the operating temperature of a Duramax diesel engine. So he goes, go do that with your dually. Then those same brackets, because you've got similar brackets on your dually, hit them with an infrared freaking gun and you'll know how hot they're getting. That guy, freaking genius. Brilliant, Brian, freaking brilliant. So, what we have here is my tow pig that I used to haul all of my crap around. And I actually just got done driving down the interstate. So we're going to go ahead and pop the old hood. And let's see what we're working with. Oh yeah, and just as a little background information, the Emron black paint that I use on most of the truck for all the undercarriage and everything, that stuff's heat rating is like around 200, maybe 250 degrees. Now, powder coating, generally speaking, is good up to about 400, maybe 450. So I could do the Emron, which will definitely hold up to scratching and whatnot. If you look at the undercarriage of that truck, thing looks pretty good, and I drive it right through the center, anything I freaking pull up to. But I don't know if it's going to be able to withstand the heat because it might get a little warmer than 200, 250 in that engine bay. So that's why we're doing this. Right. Okay. She's a little dirty. So what we're looking for here is actually, yeah, that bracket right there, all that cast stuff. Turn on my 100. Oh, dude, bro. We're good. How hot does this thing get? That pipe only gets to 130. And I just drove like 20 miles on the highway. So, oh, yeah, around the Turbski area, in the back, it gets a little hotter. Towards the front, how about like up front? 120. It's very informational. I've never been able to see how hot this thing actually gets. I'm not like down in there. That's like right where those alternator brackets and stuff live. Right about there. So yeah, we're talking like 168, 170. Yeah, so that actually tells me a lot. I could probably get away with doing the Emron paint. But, you know, it'd be even way more bitching is when Worley Custom Fab, when they powder coated all them engine parts, like all the twin turbo kit and everything, they use this really bitchin' blue that is a pretty damn close dead match to the dark blue that's all over the truck. And it's got like I don't know, it's a little bit different. If I didn't tell you it was different, you probably wouldn't even know. It looks almost better, honestly, which is tough to happen. Usually when I've got powder coated stuff, like it looks about as good as the paint, but the automotive paint ends up looking a little more spicy. No, this new powder actually looks really freaking bitchin'. So I'm thinking we're gonna actually go ahead and powder coat those brackets because, as luck would have it, part of the reason why I just did this whole little experiment here is because Miss Jen over at Dracon Coatings, she said, well, I went ahead and sandblasted the parts for you, and usually that's what I do. I have them sandblast them, and then we'll prime them and then paint them. So she's like, I went ahead and sandblasted the parts for you. She's like, why don't you just let us go ahead and powder coat them? Well, never really had powder coating done from them before, but parts are already there. Yeah. Twist my arm. I think we're going to be powder coating those parts to make them match the truck because that's going to make the engine look way more badass. So that's what we're doing. All right, y'all. It's been a couple days, and I just got the call from Dracon Coatings, and it sounds like our brackets are all freaking super dialed in and powder coated up, and our front bumper is all sandblasted up. So I'm going to pick all that stuff up. We're going to have to throw some paint still on the front bumper because remember I said we're going to paint it instead of powder coating it. But yeah, hopefully these parts look super freaking bitch, and I think they're probably going to. Actually didn't get a chance to see the actual powder, but I gave them the same powder coat as Worley Custom Fab used for all the motor parts that they made. So everything should, ideally, fingers crossed, should line up and match up perfectly. So let's take a little gander and check them out. And should y'all ever be in the Venice area and need some sandblasting, make sure you come on down to Dracon Coatings because they friggin' always take care of the Killin' It crew. I friggin' tell you that. Check that out, y'all. Super banging. Got all that powder that was all acting all funky. All that crap out of there. Wrapped it up as best I could. Try to keep all that transmission fluid out of it. But super freaking banging. And then those couple brackets, those are all super powder coated up. They look awesome. Very happy. I guess you can kind of see. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. That looks super tight, don't it? Same blue as the truck. Oh, brother. So,
Now, yeah, that's the crossover piece and those two brackets for the alternators and all. Now we are mother freaking dialed in, y'all. So now it's back to the mad scientist home laboratory. Actually, now that I think about it, it's back to the home laboratory with those couple little brackets and pieces. The bumper we got to take on over to the paint shop, get a little paint squirted on it. Then that can go back to the mad scientist's house too. So making progress, bro. We're getting some freaking parts back. Yeah! Now to start putting the truck back together.
So y'all, one thing I kind of left out of the video intentionally, we took the transmission when we pulled the engine out of the truck. We actually pulled the transmission out of the truck too. With the way the truck was sitting, how we've got it sitting basically on the ground where the axles are literally sitting on some piece of plywood. With it being that low, we couldn't get the transmission out underneath, like through the subframe and everything. So we ended up having to pull the transmission out through the hood. If y'all are interested in seeing all that, make sure you check out the Killin It Resurrection episode. I think it's called Pull Out Technique. Pretty good name there. But Pull Out Technique, and that's actually where we pulled the transmission out of the truck. But anyways, since we got it out of the truck, I took it on over to my buddy's transmission shop and had him go through the whole thing. I didn't put any of that in the video because my buddy that did all the transmission work isn't too fond of YouTube at all. So he would rather be kind of left out of it. But he does a phenomenal job. Hell of a transmission builder. I mean, he freaking super kicks ass. So I trust him with the transmission 100%. But he went through, checked it all out, said everything looks completely freaking spotless. He's like, dude, it doesn't even look like you even ran this thing. He's like, there's no burn marks, there's no wear, everything looks awesome. No problems whatsoever. And he also added, he's like, if you think about it, you got all the gear reduction and everything. So having this transmission that's like 1,000 horsepower built transmission, having it built to this level, you're not really putting the load on it that you would be from a regular truck, which does make a whole lot of sense. So he said, realistically speaking, the transmission is likely fine for anything we're going to throw at it because of the gear reduction and because of the way the truck is set up. He said if something was burning or something looked like it was kind of wearing out, then we would go ahead and try to upgrade that part. But he also added that he's not really sure what we would do from this point. I mean, it's a stage 4 Suncoast. There's not really a whole lot else you can do to an Allison transmission. So he said to go ahead and throw it in the truck, start running it. If I start having problems, whatever goes bad or whatever starts to break, we'll go ahead and address it at that time and figure out what we can do to make it better. But he said, as of right now, there's no sense in really doing anything like that, which is, again, another reason why I freaking love this guy. Very stand-up, very knowledgeable, and he's not just going to go spend your money to spend it, which is actually word for word what he said. He's like, dude, I'm not just going to blow your money. Like, there's no reason to do anything. I can go ahead and sell you a bunch of parts or tell you we should do this and this and that, but honestly, I think it's going to be fine. I wouldn't even worry about it. So anyways, all that being explained, we're heading on over to his shop real quick. I'm going to grab the transmission, bring it back over to the Mad Scientist home laboratory so we can have it staged up for whenever this motor is ready to go back in. The transmission will be ready to rock too.
And ta-da! Got her unloaded, y'all. Well, almost. Just got to lower her down and put the cherry picker away, but bam!
Okay, y'all, so now that we got the transmission back, the next part is to go ahead and start working on tearing down the old motor. Now, I'm going to kind of bring you up to speed a little bit because I know this is spread amongst multiple episodes of the Killin It Resurrection. A couple episodes ago, I think it was either during the pull-out process. I think it was during the pull-out technique, or it might have been the video where we got the new. Anyways, one of the earlier episodes, Mr. Darrell came over and explained kind of who he was. Basically, he owns AutoWorks of Venice, and he's a very knowledgeable mechanic. He knows just about everything, particularly about Duramaxes. He's worked on plenty of Duramaxes. He kind of knows them like the back of his hand. He's a little modest about it and acts like he doesn't. But if you ever seen him work on a freaking Duramax, it's like a NASCAR pit crew. He freaking flies through that thing. So anyways, the first day when I first started kind of talking to him about maybe having him help me rig this new engine, he went through and actually, we brought him over to the Mad Scientist home shop so he kind of see the working environment and I can kind of show him what we're working with here. And he actually helped me tear down the old engine a good little ways that first evening. I didn't even know we were going to start working that evening. But he actually helped me pull the fan off. Then he helped me pull a couple of the front brackets off, like the one that holds the alternator and also the belt tensioner. Then the other bracket that holds the AC compressor and the secondary alternator. So we pulled those brackets off, so I was able to get them cleaned up and powder coated and what have you. And he helped me pull a couple of little odds and ends things off. So now, at this point, it's time for us to go ahead and continue tearing down that old motor, pulling the wiring harness off of it, and anything else we're going to reuse off of that engine. So here we go.
Y'all, well, as far as we can tell so far, the old engine is officially tore down as far as we need to take it. So, oh man, we're getting freaking closer. Y'all want to see what it looks like? It's not too different from how that motor looks, except for it's quite a bit more beat up. So, yeah, and she's got the Y bridge still in it. That one, that new motor doesn't, but yeah. So this is where we're at. Got the turbo pulled off, got the up pipes pulled off, down pipe pulled off, the engine wiring harness, got the CP3 pump loose. What else? Started transferring some of the hardware over. So here is the harness. Oh yeah, we got all the fuel lines off, obviously. There's some of the fuel lines. There's the harness. I'm gonna try to clean that up pretty good. And the old turbski right there. Old up pipes, down pipe, turbo shield. Got all that pulled off. And what else? Yeah, the fuel log or fuel rail, whichever you want to call it. Got them pulled off. Some more high pressure fuel lines. Shield that goes underneath the turbo. Some more of the mounting hardware. So that's where we stand now. So, but like I said, I think just about everything we want to pull off this motor is off. We're going to leave this engine here on the stand till we have this one ready to rock and roll, just in case there's anything else we still have to remove. But I think we got pretty much all of it. I still got to get this bracket off. It holds like a little module. Got to pull that off and clean it up, put it on that new motor. And yeah, it's kind of where and I got to get the dipstick out. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. What I'm going to have to do, I don't know if I'll have to take the manifold off or not, but I'll definitely have to take this motor mount off. I've already pulled it off the other side, so I got to go ahead and pull that motor mount off so I can get the oil dipstick out and clean that up. But bam, that is a blowed up 6.6 liter LMM Duramax right there. The new motor, we didn't put a whole lot on so far tonight. I just transferred some stuff over loosely. I want to clean all that stuff up a little bit more. Started running for the oil cooler, started running, just dry fitting everything to see how it's going to line up and see how it's going to fit. But all in all, very productive evening. So from here, I'm going to spend probably an hour or so and clean all these brackets and hoses and everything up, make it looking nice and pretty so that we can get back on it tomorrow. So I'll reconvene with you guys right before I wrap up the evening once I got everything cleaned, or at least everything I'm going to clean tonight once I have all that stuff cleaned. So see y'all here in a few. All right, y'all, I am super freaking tired. So I'm calling it even, but I made pretty damn good progress. Let me show you where we're at. Got all the stuff removed that I need to. Got the oil dipstick out. And I was cleaning those parts last time we talked. So yeah, they look pretty damn good, I'd say so myself. Got all the fuel lines all cleaned up. Got that little bracket that goes underneath the turbo all cleaned up. And then I also pulled that bracket off. This one that's up here, like that. So I pulled that off. I'm gonna throw this in the tumbler over to R&D Concepts tomorrow. Get that looking nice and pretty. And then the remaining fuel line, that one that I had draped sitting over there, threw that in here and sprayed the shit out of it with some Simple Green. Also threw the oil dipstick in there too, sprayed it with Simple Green. I'll let it soak overnight. And tomorrow afternoon after work, I'll come on over here, clean that stuff up, be reconvening with Mr. Darryl, and it's time to start rigging that new motor. I'm freaking wiped out. So we're gonna call it an evening. See you all tomorrow. Well, y'all, that is gonna be a wrap on the old engine teardown part of the Resurrection series. I know we were gonna call this video the engine swap over, but the video started running a little bit long, so that's all we're gonna be able to fit in this episode. So keep your eyes posted, because in the next episode, we're gonna start rigging that new motor. Oh, God, it's gonna be freaking sick. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. Hope you all learned a little something while you watch with us. And as always, thanks for watching, y'all. If y'all enjoyed the video and want to check out future videos, subscribe to our channel. Hit that button right there. While you're at it, hit the like button at the bottom of your screen. You can also check out our website, KillinItLifestyle.com. There you can follow the Killin It crew and order your own apparel so everyone will know you're killing it.